This is a story that gets to the heart of Trump people, but in a way you might not have thought of it. So I live in New Haven. I love New Haven for all the reasons that people love New Haven. But one of the reasons is the values of New Haven. And I consider value number one, diversity is our strength. And value number two, we welcome the immigrant. And those values are stronger here than any place I've ever lived in my life, right? But I come from a small coal mining town in western Pennsylvania. And this town, when I was growing up, was a Democratic town. The coal mines were gone, but the mills and the plants were still there. It was very much second, third generation, Eastern European, Southern European. They were immigrants. They were from like that. And, but it was all white, 100% white. And when I went to school, I went to college in Pittsburgh, and I met a bunch of people. I mean, Pittsburgh, this is Appalachia. You may not, this is Appalachia. So we would go, I had a friend from West Virginia, we'd go down to a little tiny town exactly in the middle of West Virginia. It's called Helvetia. And Helvetia was a town in the mountains that had been founded in the 1860s, all of these Swiss German immigrants who came from Brooklyn to there. And they had a festival every spring where they eat these ramps that are, it's like a wild onion. And so there's always a ramp dinner, and the people gather around. They gather in the community hall, and we found it. My friends and I would go down there, and we found it to be so attractive. This idea of this beautiful little community, pristine, all these people who knew each other, generations had been there. They loved each other, and they were very tight. And I've been going down there now since 1973. Not every year, but a lot of years. And it always kind of restores me. But, and my friends and I, we've been very close to this town. There was a coal mining disaster there where a bunch of people were trapped in a coal mining and they died. And one of the guys was from this little town, and we helped his child we raised money for his child, and we raised money to fix up the town hall and stuff like this. But a couple of years ago, 2016, I was there, and there were Trump signs all up and down the street. So these people that I've been feeling so warm and fuzzy about for decades, there was not a single Hillary sign, I can tell you that, in this town. And it was all these Trump signs, and it was bothersome to me, as you can imagine. And after Trump won, I didn't go back for a couple of years because I couldn't stand it. Now, I did go back last year, and I am planning on going back this year. So it gets to a point where you say, who are these Trump people? Who are these people who support this guy? And I consider him a monster. And I have a hard time not thinking of the people who support him as monsters. Yet somehow, these are the same people who were so beautiful to each other and so welcoming to me and my friends. And they knew we weren't like, we were like them in many ways. All of us were white people. I mean, they recognized, that was something that they felt comfortable with. But they knew we were from Pittsburgh, a different sort of place. But we had this kind of love affair. So this is my question. This is my question for all of you. How do we think about this? How do you think about people who seem to have these wonderful values that you share? And in fact, they do have some wonderful values. These are deeply, this is a church that's deeply religious. They believe in lots of things that I believe in, yet they vote for Trump. And this is our nation here, right? We got half the people in the country voting for Trump, and on the other half voting for who's not Trump. So I don't have the answer. There's no punchline here, I'm sorry to say. Except I guess all I would say is that I don't try to change anybody's mind. Like every year I go out, I register voters every 4 years or every 2 years, and I campaign in some place that's a split place. I never try to change anybody's mind. I always try to reinforce the values I have. And I would never try to change anybody's mind down in Helvetia, West Virginia. But my only thought is, if we're kind to each other and we show empathy for each other, maybe that rubs off in some positive way. It's, I don't have any evidence that it really works. It's just a belief in the fundamental goodness of humans, that maybe that if you can find it, if you can cultivate it, maybe things can get better. So that's my story.